Perfect. Here we go. Proportions are relationships. Oh, that's the wrong button. Oh, that's too fat. Between things so that as one number changes, the other one changes as a multiple. Oh, this is hard to write. Of the first. It does not matter if proportions are flipped. For example, 3 teaspoons to 1 tablespoon says the same as, that's the arrow, 1 tablespoon for 3 teaspoons. Now, your calculator would give you a different number if you typed it in, right? But we're not calculating, we're not doing math, we're doing chemistry. So, for instance, like, there are 3 feet in 1 yard. Could someone else define that as 1 yard for every 3 feet? Okay? So, what we're going to do, we're going to do a lot of math for the next week. Not week, like 3 or 4 days. It's not that bad, but you have to understand that we're going to use what we call proportions. Problem? No, back row. All right. So just realize I can flip the proportion to fix any problem I want. For instance, we're going to do this way. If I asked how many yards were in 80 feet, we could do that knowing this proportion or this proportion because they're the same thing, right? So this is how you would do it. You would take the 80 feet and you want to equal yards, right? So you need to get rid of feet. I kind of scrunched myself, but that's okay. We're going to teach you a process to line things up so that you can get rid of feet. So which one of these proportions do I want to use? The one on the right. Because in order for math to cancel things out, they need to be where? On the top and on the bottom. So if feet is on top, I need feet on bottom. You would have 3 feet, and what's the top part of this one? 1 yard. The unit of feet would cancel out, and I'm left with yards. You all right with that idea? You don't have to know how to do it exactly now, but that's where we're going. It's a super, not hard process, but it takes some thinking. But anyway, first off, proportions, they're a relationship. When one part changes, the other one changes the same way. So units. The units are the words that identify what a number is talking about. For example, you are 5 times 10 to the 8th old. That is a useless, weird number, unless we use a unit. You are 5 times 10 to the 8 seconds old. Then it means something. Now, we're used to years, but we can convert it back from seconds to years if we wanted. In fact, guess what? This is equal to 16 years. Because we just say you're roughly all 16-year-olds. All right, so far, not that bad. Yesterday, in that activity, we used 2 proportions. Do you remember what they were? All right, drops per pipette and pipette per cup. And then we set them up where we said, hey, we need pipettes to disappear. And so then we just did the math, and we were left with the unit drops per cup. We used proportions to find a complicated answer. Who's with me? Raise your hands. Okay, now just because I'm recording doesn't mean you need to be silent and boring. Okay, feel free to participate. Well, I don't want to be entertained, but please participate. Someone besides Bingham. Here we go. So practice with unit. It says directions, convert the following phrases to proportions. So we're literally just changing these into a proportion. So if there are 8 ounces in a cup, you're going to write 8, keep doing that, ounces, and then the other piece would be 1 cup. Will you take a minute and do the rest of those? 365 gallon, 11, sorry, miles, 11 gallon. That'd be awesome. That'd be the worst car, like worse than a tank probably. All right, are we okay with this? It's just writing these things out. Okay, next we're just going to talk about the units that the answer would be. So how many cookies can be made from 1 bag? So the units would be cookies, bless you, per bag. That's it, that's the unit. So why don't you write out the unit for each one now? We're going to teach you how to use what I call the picket fence. And I'll just be honest with you, at first you won't like it. By the end, you may like it. Some of you will hate it the whole time. I will also tell you it's one of the most useful things that I'll teach you in all of chemistry. The picket fence in math is called dimensional, I won't write that, I can't spell that right, dimensional analysis. It's where we take one thing and we convert it to something else. So like in cooking, it would be that you have a recipe that makes food for like 20 people, but you need to make it for 200 people. You have to convert everything by a factor of 10, right? Okay. I literally used this with Amelia's dad this summer. They gave me a thing that made whatever gallons. I think it was 6 gallons, and I had to make 20 gallons of it. So I made a picket fence. I'm a nerd. Because it's complicated math. What's that? Of juice. Purple drank. All right. Sorry. It's purple like church. I don't know what it's called, but it was good. What? 2 10-gallon things. I know. That was crazy. But you have to mix it in a couple different ratios. And there was math, so I did a picket fence. I was like, sweet. Figured it out. All right. What is that stuff called? It's really good.
Just like read on the back how many cups
Maybe I wasn't. All right. Here we go. When solving problems that use proportions, it is useful. Ooh, I think it's actually important. It doesn't matter. You're never going to look at it again anyway. To make sure that all units cancel, yeah, it's important. It might actually be necessary. They're all the same, kind of. Yes. Except for those units in the answer. All right, the picket fence is a tool. Used to make sure that the units will cancel. Really, I'm just trying to save you from screwing up your math. If you'll learn this process and repeat it, you won't go astray. All right, when a number is on the top of the picket fence, it means the number is used to multiply other numbers by it. When a number is on the bottom of the picket fence, it means the number is used to divide by it. Whatever. Is it sued in your lab book? Okay, yeah, I fixed it. This is just something from a while ago. Here we go. There are 4 steps to using the picket fence. Are you ready? the first thing you need to do is write out any proportions. I'm just going to go like this. Given in the problem, and any others that may be of use. So in that picture I showed you, I wrote the two proportions and then made sure they canceled out to the right. All right, identify what units are needed to satisfy what the problem is asking. Then, start the picket fence in the top left. I know that's 2 words, but you'll work through it with counseling. Hand corner by filling it in with the number and the units that are not part of any proportion and is given to you in the problem. This we give a name. It's sort of depressing. Loner. We always start with the loner. Speaking of depressing, AP US History kids, enjoy The Jungle. It's the most depressing book ever even created by any human. Yeah, and they're so depressing. And like you're like, man, the next chapter can't be as bad as this one. Yes. Yes, it can. Like it can get way worse. And you're like, nah, can't get worse. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't grow attached to anyone or anything in that story. It's sad. I read it in 1991 and I still have emotional scars. That was 1991. All right. So we fill in the picket fence from left to right, making sure to cancel the units as you go along. Remember, only when when the same units are on the top and the bottom of a picket fence do they cancel each other. That's Mr. Mole, Marvin the Mole, in fact. I can read faces. All right, here we go. Now, when we first do this, I know you can do this in a lot easier, faster way, but I don't care. Please listen to me. Thomas, thank you. We're going to teach you this picket fence process with easy numbers and easy units so that when we use chemistry units, you can still breathe. Okay? Because when we put science on top of stuff, sometimes it gets really confusing. But here we go. You have 23 marbles, which cost $1.79. How much do 567 marbles cost? So here we go. Step 1 is to identify the proportions. This is the proportions, or proportion. It says that 23 marbles cost $1.79. Are you okay that those two numbers are connected to each other? It is a ratio. You can shut that. Is it annoying you? Or he can. All right, now, there is another number. It's 567. 567 marbles. That does not have anything tied to it, so what do we call it? The loner. All right, step 2 says to identify the units wanted in the answer. What's the unit for how much? Money. Then, step 3 and 4, we're going to set up a very simple picket fence. Now, the reason it's called a picket fence, it doesn't look like it for a long time, but it'll eventually look something like this, where there's lots of vertical lines with lots of numbers that keep going until they cancel out, and then there's your answer. Okay? Uh-oh, what, Hunter? Okay. Just like how I draw picket fences. Okay. Now, everything today is a line and then one vertical line. And the next step is to start with the thing that is alone in the where? Top left. So which one of these is alone? All right, 5, 6, 7 marbles. Then, once again, what unit did I want in my answer? I wanted dollars, right? So please look. Look at me. Is marbles dollars? No. So I need to get rid of marbles. So please look. The picket fence, this unit will always go down and over to the bottom of the next one. So I put marbles here, and then, please look still, the unit at the end is always the unit at the end. Whoa. So what's tied to money? 1.79. What's tied to marbles? 23. Then, what do you do to the two numbers on top? You cancel the units, that is true, but you multiply the numbers on the top, and then you divide that answer by that number. There are calculators in a box over there. Yes, you can use your phones. And those two that are using it and completely ignoring me, that's great. What? Nice job. You have no clue about what? Let me help.
She was just asking me a question.
Oh. Yes, Bridger. So 567 times 1.79 and divide that by 23. What? Well, you've never had a math teacher as good as this one. Okay. Have you ever had a math teacher? Everybody help me out unless you're already moving. All right. Katie can earn $9
For working 2 hours.
for working 2 hours. That is a proportion. All right.
How
Help.
much would she earn for working 5.5 hours?
All right. So how much would she earn for 5.5 hers? So here we go. I want you to do the picket fence. So please look at me. Which part's the loner? It's the one that doesn't have a slash, so good. 5.5 hours. And she's going to earn money again, so that's the US dollar sign. So what unit do I need to get rid of? Hours. So I take this proportion, and it's already in the right orientation, up and down. The 2 hours goes on the bottom, and what number has to go on top? The $9. Whoops, whatever. And look, by the way, it's annoying, but the unit at the end is the unit at the end. If the unit at the end is the unit at the end, then you most likely did this correctly. So now you would take 5.5 and multiply it by 9. Then you would divide that answer by 2. What's that? 24.75 is right. What did you get? What did you get?
I was just confused because she put the dot in the wrong spot.
Oh,
So she did 2.
poem. Dot in the wrong spot. Okay. Can I help you with number 3? Danielle, do you think number 3 was difficult? Okay. Number 3 is tricky because everything's money. But if you write one money as a tax and one as a value, then it's pretty easy. You ready? Let's talk about Mr. Sanchez and his house. All right.
Mr. Sanchez paid $345 in taxes for his lot,
Okay.
which values at $65,000 at the same rate is what that value is going to be lost. We paid 468.7.
All right. So here we go. We have 2 tax and 1 value. The answer is going to ask for a value, correct? No one's paying attention, but I'll pretend you are because it makes me feel better about myself. So, Tom, which one is the loaner? Oh, wait, we have a Tom in here. That doesn't work. I'm talking to myself now. All right. Oh, hey, look, Mr. Davidson. That's the one that's a loan because there's no denominator. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm going to solve for value. That means, oh, weird, I got to put tax down there. And that would be 345. And the unit at the end has to be the unit at the end. So I'll put the value right here. And then I would do math and learn it's like 88,000. $88,315? It's good enough. No one lists the cents in the value of their house. Do you know when you do your taxes, you don't even have to put cents in there? If you owe like $350.99, $350.
Well, what if everybody did that? You know how much money they would
Around 250 million?
Yeah.
Okay, will you do the rest of the page?